I'm out here in my garden tending to my tomato plants, which are an annual, meaning that they have to be planted new every year. This week on HGMM, Chris is going to share his top 5 perennials, plants that you only need to plant once. Now, if only they could invent a tomato to do that.
Hello friends, I'm Christopher from the Midwest Man Mountain channel, and I believe that woodworking and gardening are two of the best ways to be sustainable, creative, and achieve a sense of purpose. That's why you'll see me here on Home and Garden for Mere Mortals once a month in my garden. Stay tuned. There are a lot of things to love about gardening, but one of my favorites is planting something just one time and seeing it come up year after year after year. That's why today I'm going to tell you about my top 5 favorite perennial fruits to plant in your garden. Up here in Wisconsin, strawberries are one of the first signs of spring and are often the first fruit that we can find fresh in stores. Strawberries are very simple to grow. They grow by sending out runners along their stems, which find new earth, bear down, and develop root, and bring up a plant. This is as opposed to something like raspberries that grows from root systems already underground and then sends up cane. 2 particular words of warning if you're planning on planting strawberries. First off, strawberries are prolific. They will take over a patch. Be sure not to overcrowd other vegetables that you have planted. And the second thing, beware of pests. Birds will come in and sweep your fruit away, and things like ants may come and eat your fruit before you can. Although it's technically a vegetable, rhubarb is one of my favorite fruits. One of the earliest things to come up in the springtime, they're incredibly cold hardy. Both of these plants of rhubarb, which are different species, were planted in my garden late in the fall. I believe it was the first week of November. Rhubarb is easily transplantable, particularly if you have a nice old underground crown that you can find from a neighbor or family member. The root ball for this was about this deep, this wide, and I was able to split off a third from each plant. Now the parent plant is doing wonderfully. It's about twice as large as each of these, which is to be expected. I'm not expecting to get full large stalks for another year yet, but it still came up much better than I was expecting. Rhubarb is an incredibly versatile fruit. While oftentimes combined with strawberry or raspberries in a recipe, it's delicious in and of itself. A very crisp texture and tart flavor make for excellent jams, jellies, or rhubarb pie. This particular version tastes like a Granny Smith apple, but has the texture of celery. It's good on the go. Blueberries such as these, while delicious, can be difficult to grow. There are 2 different main varieties, low bush and high bush, low bush also being known as wild blueberries. If you've ever been interested in container gardening for perennials, blueberries are a great choice. This is particularly due to the fact that they need specific soil regulations. Blueberries grow best in acidic soil. For me, this means adding compost and pine needles around the base of the blueberry. That should keep my soil pH low enough. This particular plant is an infant. I'm not going to prune it for 3 years. After that, I'll probably prune off 1/3 of the canes every single year. Additionally, if you decide to clip off the buds during the first 3 years, you'll encourage vertical growth. But remember, you won't have any blueberries. Some of my earliest gardening memories come from picking fruit from my grandpa's orchard. At one time he had pear, apple, and even a plum tree. Fruit trees make a terrific addition to your garden, not just for their food production, but also for their landscaping needs. Trees can be very tall or short. What we have here is a dwarf tree variety. Apple trees are ideal for grafting more than one species to the tree at the same time. And with apples, you get that very satisfying end-of-year harvest, signaling the fall. If you have the space, I highly recommend planting raspberries. Raspberries are a prolific fruit. They're hard to kill. They're wonderful for a lot of reasons. Raspberries make a terrific natural fence or border. In 3 short years, I went from one small plant about this tall to this entire section of raspberries. They have very well-developed root systems that spread shallowly below the dirt and send up runners in the springtime. The best time I've found for transplanting is in the fall. That being said, you certainly can transplant some new shoots in the early spring when they start to come up. All you have to do is reach down grab, and pull. This is about the size of the raspberry that I started with 3 years ago. Very shallow root system. In fact, if I planted this now, it would probably die off this year, but come back next year with many plants. Raspberries themselves have short leaves and they're brambled. So that means they have little spikes coming up the side. Don't worry, they're not too sharp, but when you're picking berries, your skin will get nicely exfoliated. Mine are an ever-bearing species, which means they'll bear fruit throughout the season as opposed to one particular month. We love raspberries, and they're a particular favorite of my wife. Not only do raspberries spread wide, but they also grow tall. This year I've added a trellis so that my raspberries grow vertically and I'll have more of an ability to reach in with my hands and pick out raspberries. This trellis itself is about 4 feet, and at the beginning of June now, I've got some that are almost that height. Well, there you have it. Perennials are a terrific way to grow your garden and sustain it for a long time. In the description below, we've included a couple links to popular perennials to plant. Be sure to let us know in the comments section what you already plant or what you intend to add to your garden moving forward. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. While you're here, be sure to subscribe to Home and Garden for Mere Mortals, and then check out my channel at The Midwest Man Mountain. I'll see you next month. Bye!